All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to start off with a prayer, and we're going to go into praise and worship and get right into the word of Yah. Father Yah, just thank you right now for just being with us this day, Father Yah. We thank you right now this is a day that you have made. We should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. Father Yah, we thank you right now for this day, Father Yah. We thank you for the mercy and grace that you've been upon our life. Father Yah, we thank you right now that we do not look at your commandments as being grievous, that we remember to keep them, Father Yah. Father Yah, we just thank you for shalom on this day, Father Yah. Father Yah, we come against every spirit, every ruach of confusion, every ruach, Father Yah, that tries to actually cause us to be sick or bring any type of illness upon us, Father Yah. We come against anything that they're doing out there in the atmosphere, Father Yah, whether it be chemtrails or anything that they're trying to do to trick us with the food or whatever, Father Yah. We just thank you right now for allowing us to keep our temple, Father Yah. Father Yah, we come against all forms of anxiety, all forms of anger, all forms of witchcraft. We come against anything that tries to cause confusion upon our life. Father Yah, we thank right now for our mind being stayed on the word of you, Father Yah. We thank right now for keeping us in perfect peace, Father Yah. Father Yah, we thank you right now for just constantly being with us as a whole. Father Yah, we want to take the time out just to loosen up, just to give you gratitude, just to give you thanks. We didn't have to wake up this morning, Father Yah. And I know, Father Yah, a lot of us think that in general, but we don't have to wake up. And just for the mere fact that you woke us up this morning, Father Yah, we just want to let you know, Toda, Yah, we thank you for those that are around us that you woke up and gave another chance, Father Yah. We think that our story doesn't end with us not doing the will of you. We think that when we leave here, Father Yah, we have a fulfilled life doing the things of you, Father Yah. And we thank you right now, Father Yah, we begin to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh, Father Yah. And everything we do, we have it governed with wisdom, Father Yah. And we just thank you right now as we magnify your name because you're worthy, Father Yah. Father Yah, I take the time out to let you know that you're awesome, Father Yah, and that you're marvelous, Father Yah. I just want to let you know how wonderful you are, Father Yah. I want to let you know that you're magnificent, Father Yah. Father Yah, this is what I'm saying unto you, Father Yah. And I just thank you right now that my words be heard on the throne of grace. And we come before your throne of grace. When we come boldly, Father Yah. And we come in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, no other name, Father Yah. And with that, Father Yah, we say, so be it.
Hallelujah, so be it.
Right, y'all. Ready to get into the word. Another wonderful Shabbat day. We're still dealing with the kingdom of Yah. I think this is about part 3. And this is kind of we're really talking about having dominion, but you know, we kind of got like a background of reparations. And it's like a lot of us are looking for it from the world. The world, if they wanted to give you reparation, they would have never capitalized off of us. And I'm talking us in general right now, because at this moment, this is more geared toward the people right now. You know, anybody that's watching that's not claiming to be Israel, and it may not really fit your situation, but I got to do what, you know, I'm called to do at the moment. So that's what this would be for. So we kind of dealing with dominion, you know, having power over. So we'll look at, when we look at restitutions, basically we're talking about being recompensed for injury or loss or whatever it is that need to be restored back as a whole. Us as the people that are here that they call African Americans, we don't go by that. We go by the identity of the scriptures. You know, we're the people of Israel, we're the people of Yah. And so what we're looking at here is, if we want to look at a price, there's no price nobody can put on this. And my price would be upward 12 trillion. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm getting out of the calculations of it, but there's no real price. When you look at JP Morgan, Chase, and all these banks and stuff like that, half of them have admitted owning slaves, have admitted capitalizing off of us. And so we're in what you call a capitalist society. A lot of people understand this that may be listening, but we got to deal with this with people that don't know what's going on too. So it'll be from elementary, you know, those that know have to kind of bear with me, but we're dealing with this here, knowing that we're in a capitalist society. I looked up and looking at the slaves in 1878. I think it was Georgetown University got slaves from Louisiana, about 272 of them. And those slaves helped that university and the technology of it to advance. The problem with that is some of the children was as low as 2 months old that was actually enslaved. And we need to understand this, because when I talk about the kingdom, we can't just, see, we got to get away from, first of all, before I get started, we got to get away from religion for us, what you learn in Christianity and what you learn from any other type of branch of that. It teaches the word from an emotional standpoint. It doesn't teach the word as a history book. When you look at the word as history from the beginning to the ending, it takes you away from being emotional and stuff like that. And I'm trying to bring this home so we can look at it. Yah is on the throne. The judge in the world that we're in is sitting upon where he is at the seat right there. You know, he's sitting there at his seat being judgmental based on the evidence that's been presented to him. And so this is the thing. So you can go before the judge crying without the proper evidence or without everything that needs to be examined, and the jury hadn't looked over everything, and it's not going to, nothing's going to happen. This is the thing. Same thing on this side. You go crying before the throne of Yah, left these tears are tears of repentance, nothing is going to happen. But when you look at this from what it's worth now, the evidence is what actually moved the system. And so the evidence is already here. And the evidence is that we were enslaved, and we were enslaved against our will. That's why we need to be recompensed, but we can't get it from them all the time. The Most High had to move their heart. He had to test their heart in order for them to do stuff. So you got to be in the kingdom in order to get what you need. So this is why we're dealing with dominion. Dominion is something that it's saying you're in a state of power. You're able to have something subject unto you. And that was the problem. When we came here, they had dominion over us. They had dominion over us mentally. They had dominion over us physically, spiritually, and everything. So we have to look at this from a standpoint of knowing that we're the people that's in the history, not the people that just so happened to come here and from Africa. Now, they knew exactly who they was going to get. This is why recompense needs to be paid on their end, but the Most High is going to deal with them. That's why when you get in position with the Most High, where you need to be at in the kingdom, you'll get what you need from whoever you need it from. He'll test their heart. He'll do what needs to happen. He'll put you in position to get it, because it's not an equal playing field. Everything is set up for them to advance. That's why I said JP Morgan Chase, that's how they got to where they had to get, because of the fact that they had inheritance. They had their family owned slaves, so they was able to be, the silver spoon was passed to them. Our family didn't have anything. So most of the time we have a disadvantage, and we've been pushed off like they pushed the Indians into reservations, different little spots. We were pushed into certain areas that they created, the projects and stuff like that. And all this stuff was done by design. This is why you got to be in the kingdom. You have to redo what they put in you. They've actually created what we call the N word. You don't even want to, they created that. I mean, like that was created by actually those that are in the industry that actually gave us an identity to go out for, to make us be less than. It kind of represents some type of thoughtless or some type of mindless animal that mimics stuff that doesn't even matter. And so this is what we have to look at. So looking at this, when they came and got us, the whole reason for them being in the position they were in and putting us in the position we were in, because they wanted to capitalize off of free labor. They had no intent on paying back anything. This is the thing, but because slavery really was designed to never end, but they never calculated technology coming and all this stuff happening to a point where we'll be able to not, once it started advancing, they start finding ways to enslave us mentally. That's what it was. But we started out being enslaved physically. But once we got to a point where everything was starting to figure out and people started to wake up, well, at that point, that's when they began to tweak things and change things in order to keep the slavery going. Now we're going to give you a picture of, basically what they would say, who they call Jesus. We call Yeshua Mashiach or white Jesus. So now we got to get this so they can say, okay, we're white, we're the slave master. Now we're going to show them what they need to be serving so they can feel, I guess, comfortable with being subject under us. And this one I'm giving you this history because if you don't understand this, we may as well not even talk about the kingdom, because I got to speak about it with the people that are here, not people that are somewhere in another country. I'm here. So I'm representing this region where we're at. I'm in America. I'm not in Africa. I'm not nowhere where it didn't happen. I'm talking about where it happened and how it has affected me, family members I know, and people that I've known as friends. And so this we have to look at. So when you look at this, I think it's showing over 2.5 million slaves were shipped, and about 10.7, what I say is 12.5 million shipped, and about 10.7 survived the ship ride. And so with that being said, that's a whole lot of individuals that you got against their will to come here into a foreign land and actually have to relearn, and actually have to learn your language, and actually have to learn how to function in a manner in which they was not designed to function. We weren't designed to function being subject under somebody. In the beginning, when we go back and look at Adam, he was designed to have dominion, not to be put under the foot of somebody else, because slavery, the way that it was done, I would say just biblically, for lack of better words, it was done that way in the scripture to actually a period of time, and it was actually not grievous. It was actually a set up situation where they wasn't mistreated. They weren't treated as animals. They were treated as human beings. Over here, where we at in America, slavery people were treated as animals. They were treated as less than, they were looked at as animals, looked at as, nothing, basically. That's why it was so easy to sell them, to take a baby away from a mother and give it to this institution that I was talking about, Georgetown Institution. They capitalized off of slaves. And that is how, when you look at slaves are used for collateral. They're used for their property. They're used as, I would say, just property in general, where you can actually finance homes, you can finance land, you can finance a project, anything you need, because you have this capital. Slaves equals artists keeping their masters. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's like you can equal that to every slave would be created as having a master. Like that, you got something. Every slave was created as having, and we can't even compare it because this is a human being. I'm just using something that I can think of, because you can't compare a human being to just a regular earthly object, but that's how they compare it. It was just like having a certain amount of gold that they can use to trade. And so they say, okay, well, how many slaves you have? You have 100. Okay, well, I can give you this much land or this much equipment for this 100 slaves that you have. That's how we were treated. We were traded around. It was bigger than just, people look at just the slave trade. It wasn't just coming from where we were at to Americas. Once we got here, we were treated as property. And we were treated just like it says, like once they own so much of us, they can use so much of us to get gain in this capitalist society. This is why you got to be in the kingdom, because basically where we're at now, being in a society that's labor driven at this point in time, you have to actually have a way out. And there's no way out, because once they say you're released with it, what they do, put high interest and put high taxes on the stuff that you need, and you don't even have stuff, so you don't want to be free. You feel like, okay, I'm gonna stay with master because of the fact that I can't, survive on my own, because they didn't leave me nothing to work with. And this we have going on now. So fast forward, this is the mindset that a lot of the people are equipped with now. It's a slave mentality, and having this slave mentality when it comes to religion, or when it comes to how you function here as a whole, puts you at a disadvantage, because you're thinking, okay, this is all I am and I'm nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I don't matter. And you looked at the other race as being superior to you at all times. That's why we're so quick to gravitate toward their women, because we're thinking, okay, we don't want to get a sister, we're going to get one of their women, because at that point we feel like now we have accomplished something, because we already valued them to be greater. That's that process of the coon mentality. Somebody that feels like I need to get along with them in order for me to feel okay. And there's not nothing wrong with not getting along or getting along, but I'm saying it shouldn't be your best interest to always bow to the mind, or to making them comfortable to a point where you put yourself in a discomfort, in a situation that's not comfortable, pretty much. So this is what we have to look at. So looking at all this here, and I want to look over that just to give a small background. Even this slave trade that happened at Georgetown University was on June 19th, which is the day that we have, they call it Juneteenth, some day they want to give us to play around with. We're dealing with the days that the scriptures give us, not no fake days that they're trying to give us, no one day. And you kept us, under brutal mentality, punishment forever, all the way until we get to this point. And now it's like this day supposed to help us and supposed to have us excited. Now it's a trick. It's a trick to keep you quiet and say, okay, give them a bone, they're a dog, and then maybe we can just keep them quiet for a while. Now, don't fall under to any of that stuff. Make sure that you're in a position where you can get what you need and what's rightfully yours. You're supposed to be the leaders, and they're supposed to be following you as you following Yah. That's how it's supposed to work, not us operating with the world, letting them give us what they think we're supposed to have. They don't have enough to pay us. That's the thing. I mean, they don't even have a price. And so this is why you have to get in the Most High, and he'll make them pockets start emptying out like that. And once you get in him, he'll set you up where it says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, because they were wicked. And that's the thing. So, and they still are in some aspect, you know what I'm saying? All of them are not operating in that way, but the stage is already set. Everything has been designed and been redlined for the middle class, poor class, and the wealthy class. It's already set up, and it was set up by design. If you don't know this, then you don't even begin to know how to function where you're at now. You can't look at everything from a Christian mentality and a mentality of just be excited and God gonna make everything work. It doesn't work that way. The words say my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. If you don't know what's going on, you're not gonna know how to operate and how to maneuver. It's our job to study what's going on. You have to study how to maneuver in a land that's foreign. You have to study how to actually navigate. The navigation system has to be working, because if not, you're just going to be going in circles, just letting them force feed you and give you stuff, and it's not for you. So you're not supposed to be force fed. You're supposed to be leaders and guiding. And you can't guide if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're dealing with, you don't know what went on. So if you don't know what went on, you don't know how to operate and how to function. You got to know what to expect. And you're going to get what you're supposed to get from Yah, but you need to know which way are they coming. So you can know how to play defense and how to maneuver and go the way the Most High is showing you to go. If you don't know what's going on, then you're not going to know how to move and how to maneuver. And so we looked at a lot of, just a little brief history. I don't want to give a history lesson, but you got to know what happened. A lot of people don't even know what happened. They're still thinking that we were in Africa forever and African American. You can't let them give you no identity. You go back and look at, there's a clip I did talk about, who are we? Well, you'll see they got you from the kingdom of Judah. It's there. They erased it off the map. It's just there when you look up history and look up map, just like they painted Yahushua Mashiach white, they erased that. And they know where we were. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to look at this for what we need to get out of this in order to know how to move forward. You don't know what you're trying to obtain if you don't know what happened. And so once you find out what happened, then you can find out how do you operate in America. In this system, it's still a capitalist society. It's still a system that's set up where people are not knowing how to maneuver because they think that it's still supposed to be in a system that was designed trading time for dollars 24/7. This is the season here. We'll talk about more behind the scenes after we get off the air about getting ready to plant seeds so you can move forward in whatever area needs to be planted in. And so we're gonna look at Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, starting at the 26th verse, and we're gonna kind of talk about what happened in the beginning for us, like what was the first design of man. It was never the design of him to be subject to another man. You know what I mean? Like that, it was always designed for him to be in dominion. So it'd be Genesis chapter 1. I think we'll start off at about the 26th verse, whenever you get it.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. Pause it.
Now, that don't sound like nobody's going to be suppressed and oppressed and all that. So when we look at that, that's what should turn the light bulb on. We know a lot has transpired from Adam all the way till we get to this point. But what I'm saying is Adam was created by Yah. Knowing he was created by Yah, his first being that he created wasn't designed to be oppressed by somebody else. And as you go on further, even when we get to us as a people, there's no situation where we were ever supposed to be, unless it was a punishment that went on, oppressed by another nation. You can go ahead.
27. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
Okay. And so he had dominion over it all. He had dominion over it all. He was actually in control of it. There was nothing that he didn't have control of. And that's a long ways from getting to a point where people are having you where you don't even know who you are. Like, I mean, like you have to first, we're in a position where people need to first wake up as a whole to realize, I mean, that they're not who the world is telling them they are, like that. And saying we have another people that are actually disguising themselves as us that's in the so-called land that they're saying, we don't even know if that's the exact spot, but we do know that they're not us. They're not the people who came out of Mizraim. We know that for a fact. And so there are people of Khazar and Polish descent that are over there disguising, like the book of Revelation, when they say, I know your works, those that say they are Jews that are not, that are found to be lies. And this we have going on here, we're supposed to be in a position where we're subduing things, we're in control, and we're dominating in a sense where it's not where we're trying to say like oppress anyone else, but we have to get to a point where we can even dominate certain crafts that we have and get into a position where we can maneuver and operate and function and do general business. We can't do that being somebody that we're not. First of all, you have to know who you are, know what your identity is, as we talked about, being a representative of Yah. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know that, if you don't know you're the children of light and not the children of darkness, then that's another downfall. That we have to get to a point where we know exactly who we are so we can move forward. We can't move forward still thinking that the enemy has given us an identity and showing us how to maneuver and how to move. And this is what we have going on. Like Adam had something to subdue, something to control. As we go on back, go to another page, I think it's going to be Genesis 2 and 15 verse is going to talk about what Adam had dominion over. It's going to be 2 and 15 of Genesis, just trying to lay the foundation here.
Bereshit, Genesis 2, verse 15. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to guard it.
Okay, and we're just trying to keep it brief. So he put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to actually take care of it and everything. So he was there to do what he's supposed to do. He gave him a job. He gave him a kingdom to have dominion over. This is what he had. He gave him something that he can actually subdue. So he had everything he needed. There was no lack in Adam when he was created. Lack came when he fell from grace, when sin came, when he did what he said don't do, something that's forbidden. The same thing now. Lack doesn't really show up into some sense of sin or you being contrary to the word or commandments of Yah, then lack sets in. So at this point, Adam is not, his work is not grievous. He's not dealing with something that causes him to be at the sweat of his brow at this point. As long as he don't eat of that tree that the Most High said don't eat of. But we know what happened when he eat of it. Fast forward, he's getting kicked out of the garden. So long as you do what you're supposed to do in the Most High, you don't have to worry about not having something to subdue or to take over. But at this point, we see Adam had a kingdom. He wasn't oppressed by anything. He wasn't scared of animals and stuff like that. You know, nature was not against him. And now we see man has tampered so much with nature to the point where now people are fearful of certain things that Adam had to name. If a lion is here now, unless it's a mixed breed or some type of hybrid or something that they created, most of the animals that we have were here then, and Adam doesn't appear to have been scared of them like that, not naming them. So basically, we know that we're in a society that calls for supply and demand. We're going to look at based upon usury and interest and stuff like that. When it comes to your brother and come to your sister, you're not supposed to try to capitalize off them like the world did off us. But a lot of us don't get this point. You know, we're thinking, okay, do whatever, but it's not do whatever. If it's a brother, you know, someone that's in the nation of Israel, you're not supposed to capitalize off them. You're not supposed to oppress them. If they're in need, you're supposed to help them. If it's something they need to give back to you, then if y'all agree to get it back, it should come back the same way, not come back in a manner 10 times more. You're not supposed to be trying to get the advantage over your brother. And let's look at Leviticus chapter 25. A lot of people don't know this stuff. They just think, okay, it's okay. I'll give you, you know, this and that. You give me this back, but that's not what the word is saying. Do you're not supposed to, especially if they're somebody in need. And, you know, I know there are other loopholes of somebody that's trying to use something. They're saying, hey, look, I'm investing with this something. That's different. But if somebody's in need, you help them and they came to you and say, hey, look, I'm trying to get some food. You know, I need, you know, biblical terms. Can you give me, you know, one of your chickens or something like that or whatever? And, you know, give me a few eggs. We're not, if he gives you 12 eggs, you're not supposed to ask him to give you 24 back. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, you know, this is what we're talking about here. And I think it's Leviticus 25, starting at 35.
Leviticus 25:35. And if your brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with you, then you shall relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take no usury of him or increase, but fear your Elohim, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your money upon usury, nor lend him your victuals for increase.
See what I'm saying? So you're not supposed to be trying to capitalize off your brother. Like, you're not supposed to operate as a loan shark for your brother. Just like I was explaining, if he give you give him $5, you're not supposed to say, hey, man, I need 10 back. And this is what they're saying. And like when it comes to brother, this is not supposed to happen. This is a common sense factor. Why would you want to take advantage of your brother, especially if they needing this? You know what I'm saying? I gave examples. Somebody's trying to, you know, use something and they don't have to do that, and they're trying to use it for the advantage too. You know, there's no, you know, that's different. But if somebody's trying to come to you and you know they need this and they don't have it and they're down and out and they're really in a place of need, you're not supposed to use that as an advantage to have for them to be prey to you. That's what I'm saying. And you're not supposed to prey upon their weakness for your advantage. Go ahead. You can pick back up where you left off there.
am Yahuwah Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Mizraim, to give you the land of Canaan, to be your Elohim. And if your brother that dwells by you be waxen poor and be sold unto you, you shall not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as a hired servant and as a sojourner. He shall be with you and shall serve you until the year of Jubilee.
Now, pause. This is what I'm trying to get at right here. Like when they try to use the example where it was slaves in the Bible, you know, any Bible they reading that has something to do with a slave, for it to pertain to us, it's got to work this way. And if they're doing something trying to compare it to biblical slavery, you know, no matter if they say, well, hey, they wasn't the people or whatever, they wasn't a brother, it doesn't matter because they're trying to use the example to justify it. You can't use an example out of how he told us to operate in slavery to say you're getting a biblical example that benefits us to say, okay, it lines up. It doesn't line up because slavery here, as I pointed out, in this capitalist society, supply and demand is what we're dealing with. That's why we have all the tariffs, you know, all the different increases and stuff going on, the trading with China. It's all supply and demand. And when you look at it like this, it's not designed to stop. Who would want to stop free labor? It was never designed to stop. Here it shows you should be released. There, 7 years, not only 7 years, but try 400. I mean, like that, you know, try however many years it was. I mean, we know it lasts over 7, you know, even if it was 100, 200, slavery just kept going and kept going and kept going and it kept going. And there's no way you can go in the Bible and show somebody that this is the way the Most High wants you to operate, using the example saying that this is how the people of Yah is operating in slavery because it's okay because it's in the Bible. Now, there's no way that you can use that because what we have going on here is somebody being treated like a human being and they treated you like an animal. Go ahead. Where you stopped off at. All right.
It's 25:41.
That's
And then shall he depart from you, both he and his children with him, and shall return to his own family, and to the possession of his father shall he return.
Okay. We're stopping there just because it's a whole lot of it. But just to give you a brief example, slavery was designed to end. It wasn't designed to go forever. We weren't supposed to be enslaved as long as they enslaved us. When you can't use us, they didn't come to get us on biblical principles or anything that had something to do with the word. They came and got us to come and build a nation because they didn't want to work. They never intended on working to do it because there was so much going on. They couldn't make the Native Americans do it because they was imposing their will upon them, trying to, you know, take it, not trying, but taking what they have already. So their land from the beginning, so they're coming over here and say, okay, well, we can't get them. So we got to get somebody to do all this work. So we got to develop this place. And that's what went on here. It was never designed to stop. It stopped the way things went. Even in Civil War, it's still set up in the hearts of those. Even though slavery stopped, it's still set up in the hearts of those that wanted it to continue. We're looked at as slaves that escaped, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? They don't look at us as, you know, as somebody that's on the equal playing field. Even if they learn to look at us as a human, they still look at us as less than, to the point where it doesn't matter if they harm us, or if they take advantage of us. It doesn't matter if they don't give us a fair chance. That's why it's so easy to do it, because it never left the heart of people. Slavery is still in the heart of those that are here, that actually, the ancestors actually enslaved it. You don't have to be the one that did it for it to happen. We weren't the one that, you know, that were enslaved technically, but we had to actually reap the benefits of it because we didn't get it in inheritance. All the scripture talk about is inheritance. It talks about a good man leaving up money for his children, saving money for them to have something to when they're gone. Just what they did. That's why J.P. Morgan Chase got the bank. That's why you see the Rothschild and all these that are here, because they had it already. Donald Trump, he come from money. Just naming a few individuals, he come from money. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at it, you know, just like this, we don't have it. And a lot of us say, well, let it go. What do you mean let it go? We can't let go what's already been designed. That's why we have to know that if you're not in the kingdom, you can't have dominion. You can't function and operate because it's already a disadvantage. This is something that should make the light bulb come on and say, how can I defeat a system designed against me without Yah? You can't. There's no way possible you can defeat a system like this without Yah. You won't win. I mean, it's like you have a few that may win, but they're still going to have a problem down the line when they get to a point where, you know, where they need to do something that they need to maneuver, and it's like it's just not happening. You have to have Yah in order to maneuver in a system like this. Without him, you're not going to be able to maneuver, because we see the way that we just read slavery and the way that we just read usury and stuff. That's not the way they do it. That's why everywhere you look is, you know, something set up designed to capitalize against you. And so basically that's what it was, supply and demand, the way that they operated in slavery. Let's look at Luke chapter 9. We got a few more and then we'll be finished with this part. Luke chapter 9, verse 1 and 2. Trying to share a few examples where we can realize that it's more to it than just, what we learn, in Christianity, and they don't really teach you how to maneuver. It teach you to be emotional, how to get, certain ways that you try to go to Yah crying and stuff like that. That doesn't matter. You can cry all you want to. Like my grandparents, they cried. They ain't leave me nothing. Crying didn't bring the inheritance. I mean, they went to church, it didn't bring the inheritance. Sleeping outside the courtroom, before we start reading, we're going to briefly kind of talk about this. Speaking outside the courtroom and just crying out there doesn't make the judge give you a different decision. And the jury, you can cry out there all night, 24/7, nothing changes. And same thing with outside, so you can have a 24-hour sleepover, shut down, whatever you have, until you get certain things in order. It doesn't change the mind of Yah just because you were at an actual physical building. Nothing changes. This is what we have to realize. We have to get out of this mindset of being emotional, thinking that it's supposed to make changes. Emotion doesn't make changes. Knowledge makes changes. And action makes changes. So we'll do Luke chapter 9, verse 1 and 2.
Luke 9, verse 1. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of Elohim and to heal the sick.
Okay, and I just stopped there because it'll go on and on. The point is he gave them power. Yahushua Mashiach, he gave them power. He gave them authority, say, over all devils. And this is the thing. So if they had power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases, that means they had dominion over. That means that they wasn't bound by anything. And this is the thing we have to look at. We'll get further on down the line and see that Yahushua Mashiach was the second man, Adam. Nothing in here talks about Adam being sick or anything of that nature. It never speaks of any of that. I mean, like that, because there was no reason for him to be sick. That was nothing to be sick for. That was no sin. He hadn't went against the commandment of Yah. Sin brings sickness. And, being disobedient and not obeying the commandment, it brings sickness, which brings all forms of diseases and everything else, and it starts being generational at that point. As you go down the line, things start to get, I think the word is hereditary, like, your dad had it, his dad had it, and it just keeps passing to you. Well, Yahushua Mashiach stops that. He stops that actual system now. I mean, it'll still be there in your physical form, but it's the power of Yah that breaks these curses, that breaks these things that are passed down. Diseases and sickness and stuff of that nature. That's why he gave them that, because that's what the kingdom is about. The kingdom doesn't have sickness in it. There's no actual disadvantage when you're operating in the kingdom of Yah. If it's sickness, then he say, okay, I'll give you power over this and we'll keep moving forward. This shouldn't be stopping you. This is something extra. And that's the reason why they had the power to do that. And that's what drew the people. People were not drawn because they were charismatic or anything like that. They were drawn because of power. That's why when Yahushua Mashiach would speak, they would say, what manner of man is this that speak? Even the sea obey him. You mean like that? Everything happens. The spirits are subject unto him. That's what people were about, the power and about status. And it's the same thing now when you see people, most of the time, it's not the money that people are interested in, it's the status that they have behind the money. It's the power that they get behind having the money. It's being able to obtain this type of vehicle and this type of lifestyle and to have this type of image. That's what most people are attracted to, not just the actual physical currency. So in this case here, they were attracted to Yahushua Mashiach because of the fact that he had that power. It was all about that power. Even when you look at, I think Paul, and then when you look at Simon the sorcerer, he wanted to buy the Ruach HaKodesh. You say, how much can this power is so I can buy it? Whoever I lay hands on, they get well. It was the power that drew him. He had money. He was Simon the sorcerer, say the whole town was scared of him. So he had money already. It was the power that drew him. You know what I'm saying? Which we translate now in this new term, now that people say clout. They're saying that, and that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was having that power to make moves like that. And that's what drew the people to him. It wasn't just the fact that, of anything different, just who he was in general. Got a few more. Let's go to Luke 9, go down to, we're still in Luke 10, go down to that 10th verse in this same chapter of Luke 9.
What verse?
10, the same chapter, Luke 9 and 10.
Luke 9, chapter, verse 10. And the apostles, when they were returned, told him all that they had done. And he took them and went aside privately into a desert place belonging to the city called Bethsaida. Keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, when they knew it, followed him, and he received them and spoken to them of the kingdom of Elohim, and healed them that had need of healing. And when the day began to wear away, then came the 12 and said unto him, send the multitude away, that they may go into the towns and country round about and lodge and get victuals, for we are here in a desert place. But he said unto them, give ye them to eat. And they said, we have no more but 5 loaves and 2 fish, except we should go and buy food for all of these people.
That's enough. So many verses to read. So basically paraphrasing all this as we go forward, even for the next few verses, Yeshua Mashiach took the 5 loaves and 2 fish and he blessed them. When he blessed them, he was able to feed the multitude. The point was, and that was that he had power. He had power over hunger. So he was able to take what they had and utilize that and bless it and allow it to multiply. That's the power that he represented. And so he didn't have to look at lack as being a problem. He looked at that as being an opportunity to, show the people the power of Yah. So it's the same thing. He had power now to actually show you that, okay, I see it's more of y'all than what I have, but with these few necessities that I do have, I'll be able to provide, because I'm going to show you how I can make what I got multiply. And that's the thing. So he was able to multiply it, not on his own accord, but he looked up, he blessed it. He gave it over unto Yah and said, this is all we have, but there are more people that got to eat. I'm going to give this to you. I need you to make it work. That's the thing. So it's kind of like you putting something that's not working for you in the hands of Yah, and Yah allowing it to work on your behalf in a position where it wouldn't have worked on your own. Without him, you wouldn't be able to do it. He stretched $1 into $5,000 to be able to take care of something that was worth that much. Just give an example. So that's what we have going on. So in this case here, he had power over hunger once again, and they had power, but they weren't able to do this particular thing at this point in time. This was in the hands of Yeshua Mashiach, but as we fast forward, this is why he's operating here. This is before everything has been given over unto him. This is before the crucifixion. This is before everything we say, all things have been given over to me over Shamayim, which is heaven and earth. When he got crucified at that point, that power in that sense there should be passed on to us, where we can actually multiply something. I know it's far-fetched for most people, but it is what it is. I mean, he said, works I do, even greater works you'll be able to do also. And so even as we look forward, we go in the book of Acts, when Yeshua Mashiach started to re-show himself back to the people, he started talking about the kingdom of Yah. And at that particular point in time, they asked him the question, well, at this time, will Yah restore the kingdom back to Israel? He let them know it's not for you, to be knowing when the Father's getting ready to make these type of moves. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you just do the mission that I got you to do now. For them to ask them that question. You go to the book of Acts chapter 1, for them to ask them, is it the time now that Yah will restore the kingdom back to Israel? He had to have been conversating with them about that. They asked a question that they were already knowledgeable of talking about. So he had to already been having that conversation with them about the kingdom being restored. This is where we go as we fast forward Revelation. When you talk about when John the Revelator say, I looked up and I saw a new heaven and I saw a new earth. He say, but the tabernacle of Yah has come to dwell with man. There will be a kingdom here. It won't just be set up how it's set up now. And where we here, this earth and the heaven that exists now will pass away. And it's going to be a new one, according to John the Revelator. And they asked at that point in time, in general, was at this point, they wanted to have it on the earth, like now in this earth form, the kingdom being restored back. Now it wasn't time yet at that time. He was letting them know that as you go a little further, the kingdom is going to come. As you go to that next page in Acts chapter 1, he talked about the kingdom. In Acts chapter 2, that's when it talks about, the Ruach HaKodesh coming. That's why he told them to tarry here, and stay here in Jerusalem. And he said he's going to send that comforter. So the comforter came, which gave them that piece of what they needed to have the kingdom here now. But it's not in totality. It's a partial form. That's why we talk about it in the book of Corinthians. It talks about whether we prophesy, we do it in part and things of that nature. So we won't do things in part when the fullness comes. Now we're operating in a system of doing things in part, but we do have the Ruach HaKodesh that allows us to function from heaven, from Yah, on this earth here, to be able to be led and guided and to be able to show us how to maneuver and how to move and get dominion over things. But it's not in its full totality. It's just just a little piece of it. And so we look at this here, the whole thing that we have set up here is to have dominion, you have to have Yah. You can't have Yah without having dominion, because at this point, it's like, what are you going to have dominion over? And how are you going to have dominion without knowing how to function when you get the power that he's giving you? So you have to be able to make sure that you're using the power that Yah give you in the right place. Make sure that you're not doing something that he don't want you doing. Make sure that you're not trying to enslave a situation that he didn't want you enslaving, or to take control or authority over a situation that he didn't tell you to take authority over. Because there's a certain power that we have that is so influential that we can actually do things that the Most High didn't tell us to do. That's why we have to make sure that we'll govern things by the Ruach, which came in Acts chapter 2 in that upper room. That's why he told me in Acts chapter 1, he said, John baptized with water. But here later in a little while, he told him when the Ruach HaKodesh comes, you know, saying you'll be baptized with the Ruach HaKodesh. This is what Yeshua Mashiach told them. And so they tarried and they waited. And when that time came, we say when the day of Pentecost had fully come, at that point came, you know, the Ruach HaKodesh came down upon those where they was able to hear certain ones talking in their own language, and they weren't from that language, from that nation. They was just being able to hear them speak plain. Those that were foreign were hearing other people that were foreign speak, and they were understanding. And so this is what we have going on. So basically we're sent here to have dominion, but it has to be governed now by the Ruach HaKodesh. And we're going to end this in prayer. This was a lesson that talked about dominion. We kind of covered reparations a little bit, you know, I would say restitution basically, but we're going to end this in prayer until next time. Father Yah, we just thank you right now for just being with us this day. We thank you for the word that went forth today, Father Yah. Father Yah, we thank you for enlightening our understanding right now, Father Yah. Father Yah, we just thank you right now for just constantly being with us as we go out, Father Yah, and that we begin to represent you as ambassadors, Father Yah. And we just thank you right now for Yahushua Mashiach for just being obedient all the way to the end. And we just come before you, just letting you know that this is a marvelous day, and we think we should do great things throughout this day. In the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it.